Hello people, how you guys doing? Little Guy G here and welcome back to another Payday 2 build. In this build, I'm going to be going over the Rick Grimes build. You saw that in the beginning. I thought, I haven't done a build video in a very long time. I do apologize about that, guys. I've been playing other games and doing other things. And it's awesome that you guys suggested me some builds and also some weapons. I've seen in the comments below that a lot of you guys have suggested a crap ton of builds, and it kind of had got me the idea, maybe instead of making the exact builds you want, maybe I could mix them all together, pick out weapons and such, and maybe make a themed type build. For example, I'm a big fan of The Walking Dead. I'm a really big fan of The Walking Dead, and this build I made specifically for the Rick Grimes character. He might have had a bit of a sex change, considering he's got breasts and stuff, but the beard's on point though. the beard's on point. But anyway, this is Sydney, of course, but anyway, I'm going to be talking about the Rick Grimes build. Basically what this build is matching to Rick Grimes. For those who don't know what The Walking Dead is, it is a TV show made by AMC. Really, really good show. I recommend it 100% that you watch it. It's like my favorite TV show. It's incredible. So, in this video, I'm going to be talking about the skills that he'll use, his weapons, going a bit more in-depth with his weapons, the skills and why he uses the skills, because obviously I've got to talk about Rick's characteristics in the show, and also the perk decks and stuff, the melee weapons. I'll go over everything for you guys. So, I'm going to be breaking it down, and then I'm going to show you guys some gameplay at the end with the build, and just talk a bit about, you know, what, other builds, like maybe if you guys have any builds to suggest me, leave them in the comments below. And if you watch The Walking Dead yourself, what character should I do next? Any can be suggested, leave them in the comments below. I watch the show, I know exactly what the characters are like, so if you leave me a comment on whatever character, I'll definitely get around to it. But yeah, that is going to be it for the introduction. I'm going to get straight into the weapons and the skills for you guys. So there are a lot of viable spots for his primary weapon slot. We've seen him use various primary weapons in the show, but the one that stands out to me the most is obviously that clip in the beginning where, for the Terminus scene, where he grabs the AK-47 and mows down a bunch of the termites. Now that is a very, very, for me, it's an iconic scene for me to show how badass Rick is. So I decided to go with the AK for this build. Now, to make it look a bit like the show, I hardly have any attachments for it, just so it looks a bit more bare bones, because yet again, they are in an apocalypse. There's hardly going to be any of these weapon attachments and stuff about, so you've got to keep that in consideration. It's not like I can fully mod these weapons. It's a zombie apocalypse. They have to use what they have, so bare bones weapons like the AK-47 is a must for this build, and most certainly. He's used stuff like M4s, he's used snipers, I believe. I think he's used a sniper once, I can't really remember, but he's definitely used his AK a lot of the times. It saved his skin a lot of the times, so that's why I'm going with the AK for this build, and it really does fit Rick. So either way, onto the secondary weapon, which of course is going to be the revolver. Not the cowboy western revolver, because that's too western and, yeah, basically olden. This revolver is a lot more modern. Now, this is the main part of the build, his revolver. He uses this the most out of all of his weapons in the show, besides his melee weapon, which I'll get to in a minute. But he used the revolver a lot. It's an iconic revolver. You must all know about his revolver. It's in the posters, you know. He gets his first kill with this revolver. Like, come on. I won't spoil anything, by the way. There's no spoilers in this one when I'm going to be talking about the show. So, anyway, that's his revolver. It's iconic, perfect for Rick. But last but not least, there are two variable melee weapons you can go for in this build. Actually, thinking about it, there's like three, but there's different variations of it. Now, the first set of melee weapons you can use are the machetes. Now, you use these machetes for some various points in the show, which I will refuse to spoil, because it is a bit. Some of them are quite big spoilers. So he uses machetes. There are like two machetes in the game. There's a utility machete, and I can't remember the other one. I'm recording this off game, by the way. But yeah, two different machetes you can use. The utility machete does look a bit more like the one he uses in the show, kinda. But yeah, he uses it at critical points. So I won't tell you what he used it for. But yeah, machetes are good. But the one melee weapons that I really think is perfect fitting for Rick is definitely the hatchets. There are two hatchets, the survival tomahawk and there's the compact hatchet. The compact hatchets are a bit smaller, The Survival Tomahawk has a lot more range, so I think if you want to actually do a bit of good in this build, definitely use the Survival Tomahawk because it has a bit more range on it, and you can get a bit more damage on the enemy as well. Now, there's a big part in Season 5, Season 6, where Rick actually uses this. Now, he uses the Tomahawk in the Alexandria scene where he goes absolutely crazy at one point over an event that happens. Now, I'll show you a bit on the screen now. I won't show too much because of copyright. But you can see here he goes absolutely crazy on these walkers, destroying them, going absolutely ham. And this is one of the best scenes in the show as well. So that's why it definitely deserves to be that melee weapon instead of the machetes, most certainly. So anyway, those are talking about the weapons. I'm now going to get into the skills and the perk decks for you guys. So we're going to be looking at some of Rick's skills now, or the skills I picked out for Rick. So in the Mastermind skill tree, I have gone for most of the controller themed kind of skills. For example, like Confident, Joker, and Partners in Crime. Now, the reason I've gone for these is because Rick is very persuasive. Now, you see him do this a lot of times in the show. He's good at talking his way out of situations. He's good at persuading people. And he's also made some people join his group as well, which is really, really cool. So definitely these skills are most certainly appropriate for Rick. Like Confident allows you to intimidate people, and also you convert them to be a part of you and be part of your team, which is kind of like it ties into the Rick character also. And Sharpshooter just to them because he does have a pretty steady shot. Rick is really, really good at shooting. He's got a really good shot on him with his revolver. Also, I've gone for Underdog as well because when he's in that situation, I've just showed you previously the situation where he's with the hatchet just hacking off all of the walkers in Alexandria. This is a good one to go for because when he's around 3 or more enemies, he receives a 50% damage reduction, which kind of makes him stronger basically. So really, really good and really, really useful to go for. I've also gone for Bullseye as well because obviously he's a crack shot and he gets a lot of those headshots with his revolver. Now, with Bullseye, you regenerate additional 20% armor for each successful headshot, and it doesn't occur more than once in 2 seconds. So every 2 seconds, if I get a headshot, it regenerates my armor, which is really, really useful. But now, Ghost is really, really good in some of the Ghost trees. Or Artful Dodger, I've gone for Duck and Cover and Parkour. Rick is quite quick on his feet, and he's got a lot of energy. So he's able to get from point A to point B and help out his group or whatnot. And there's multiple situations where he's run for miles at some point. He's ran. So most certainly Parkour and Duck and Cover, just so he can get some stamina and also some speed, so movement speed. So definitely good for Rick because he's light on his feet. And last but not least, in the future tier, we have 2 trees that I need to desperately cover. So Gunslinger, of course, we have Equilibrium, Gunner, One-Handed Talent, Desperado, and Trigger Happy, just because he's there with his revolver and he is kicking absolute ass. And the revolver in this build is really, really vital, most certainly, because that's the weapon he uses the most in the show, besides his melee weapon, which I will get to right about now. So in Brawler, I have Martial Arts, Bloodthirst, and Pumping Iron. Now, Martial Arts lets you take 50% less damage from melee attacks. If I get close up to a cop, I'll take less damage from them. And also the Ace version, you're 50% more likely to knock down enemies with a melee strike. So meaning that Rick has a lot of power in his melee lunges and stuff, so you can knock down a lot of enemies. And Pumping Iron, your melee attacks against non-special enemies do 50% more damage, and your melee attacks against special enemies do 50% more damage. This is really, really good, means that you can use melee a lot more. Now, Bloodthirst is quite an important skill here as well. So every enemy you get a kill with will increase your next melee attack damage up to 100%, up to a maximum of 300%. So what this means is that if I kill one enemy and melee another enemy, that's 100% more damage I've done to that enemy. But if I then kill 2 enemies from my revolver and then melee another person, that's 200% more damage. And then obviously 3 is 300% more damage. So Bloodthirst is really, really good. And then the Ace version is whenever you kill an enemy with a melee attack, you get a 50% increase in reload speed. So for example, if I've used the revolver, like bam, 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 like I've killed all of them with my revolver, and then I'm like, oh shit, I need a melee attack. I can kill someone really quickly with my melee, and it gives me a 50% increase in reload speed, and I can quickly reload my revolver and kill more people. So really, really helpful skill, Bloodthirst is. Yeah, really, really useful. So that is the skills there. So now we're going to go into the perk deck, which is really appropriate for Rick, which is Maniac. Now, Maniac is, let's talk about the name. Name Maniac. So, Rick transforms in the show from being kind of the good guy, because obviously he's a cop. He's a good guy, you know, very passive, doesn't really want to kill any of the walkers unless he has to. For example, he listens to Herschel a lot. Herschel's quite a passive character in The Walking Dead as well. And Rick kind of follows Herschel as well to think, yep, these are normal people. They don't deserve to die. Then Rick kind of transforms season by season from a normal sort of survivor into an absolute killer and a madman. He will just do nothing for his group. He will do anything for his group. It doesn't matter who it is. He will kill anyone in his sight. And Maniac basically sums it up. So Maniac. Let's get into the actual into the actual perk deck. So we have Excitement, Outburst, Fervor, Recklessness, and Insanity, which is pretty good for Rick actually. So Excitement, 100% of your damage you deal is converted into Hysteria stacks up to 240 every 4 seconds. Max amount of stacks is 600. Hysteria stacks, you gain 1 damage absorption for every 30 stacks of Hysteria. Hysteria stacks decays 60% plus 80 every 8 seconds. But to sum up Maniac pretty, because Outburst just so your members of your crew also gain the effects of Hysteria stacks. So basically it gives you a bit more shield and it allows you to absorb more damage. Fervor, change the decay of your Hysteria stacks to 60% plus 40 every 8 seconds. Then Recklessness, change the damage absorption of your Hysteria stacks on you and your crew to 1 damage absorption for every 5 seconds of Hysteria. And then finally, Insanity. Damage absorption from Hysteria stacks on you is increased by 50%. Really, really good. So to sum up Maniac, it's kind of like you can give your the more people you kill, you stack Hysteria, which is kind of a shield for your character. And it gives you a bit more shield, and there's also a little ring in the circle, a bit like Grinder, so it kind of like, or Ex-President even, that kind of fills up your health and it gives you a bit more health, but also you give it to your other teammates as well, and if you stay by your teammates, you can give them more shield and kind of help them out in battle. That's the kind of person Rick is. He goes crazy when he needs to, just like Maniac, and he's also a team player, and he always looks out for the group, and he always helps out his group as much as he can. So that is pretty much the Rick build in a nutshell, guys. I do hope you have enjoyed this. I put a lot of time and effort into making this build. But yeah, I'm going to get right to the gameplay now, guys. If you enjoyed, leave a like and subscribe. And like I said, I'm going to get into some of the gameplay and talk about the skills. So yeah, guys, I will see you in the gameplay. Alrighty then, guys. Here is the gameplay for you. I will try my best to... because in this gameplay, whilst I was doing the testing of the build, I tried my best to kind of incorporate all of the skills I possibly could and put it into this one build for you. And I really try my best to get footage using all of the skills, using all the examples I used previously in my description of the build, my up to 10-minute analysis, which I just cracked down on this build like crazy. But yeah, here is some gameplay, of course, with the revolver. Also, I've thrown in some gameplay of the AK as well, just mowing down some cops with the AK. But like I said multiple times, the key part of this build and the main damage dealer is indeed the revolver. And also with Bloodthirst as the melee weapon, if you run out of ammo with the revolver, it is all but awesome to just whack out the melee weapon and hack someone and hack another person, just like Rick would do in the show. If he used to run out of ammo with his revolver, he'd think, fuck this, he'd whack out his machete and just go absolutely, or not machete, sorry, his hatchet, and go absolutely crazy. So, or whatever melee weapon he has on him, because he's used knives, machetes, he's used poles, he's used all sorts. So it doesn't matter what he'd use, he'll just fuck anything up instantly. But yep, the melee, sorry, not the melee weapon, yeah, the revolver and the melee weapon are the big parts of the build. The AK is just there for when there's multiple enemies there, like in the Terminus scene right at the beginning I showed you. If there are multiple enemies and he can't take them out using his revolver, he can just whack out his AK and spray them down and be like, right, on back to my revolver, reload it, let's go. So that is kind of the attitude of Rick, and that is what I kind of try my best to do in the gameplay. I'm showing you a bunch of gameplay clips here of different heists I did using the melee weapons. I'm using all of the resources I can possibly do. Also, you can see in the health bars of my teammates, Maniac's playing a massive part, giving my teammates an extra bit of shielding. So, really, really happy about my teammates there, being a team player. And also, I got to be out there killing plenty of people if I want to fill up my Maniac stacks and all that hysteria. So, yeah, this is the gameplay, guys, for you. Basically, that is going to end the video. Now, like I've said multiple times in the video, if you do watch the show or just want to suggest me another build, leave me in the comments below either a character from The Walking Dead or any of your builds you suggested. I'm still going back to previous builds and kind of trying to get certain builds that you guys have requested. I still have them noted down. Don't think I've forgotten about the builds. I definitely haven't. Like, I will say this most certainly. Thank you guys for suggesting your builds. It's pretty overwhelming having all these builds that I have to try and work on. But, you know, time is key. Time is key. So give me time, guys. And I will get round to them. And I will try my best to entertain you guys. And I'll try my best to make the builds as in-depth as possible and enjoyable for you to watch. Because that's the key thing. I hope I don't go extremely long into these builds, but I really want to try and crack down every part of the build for you guys and really try and make this enjoyable and informational for you as well. So yeah, guys, that is going to wrap up the Rick Grimes build. I really enjoyed making this build, so if you enjoyed it, leave a like. It would be much appreciated. I worked a long time on this build and getting ideas and clips together. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy, guys, and goodbye.